What's up, otakus? I went on live last night. We unboxed a big addition to the collection. My first. I'm still like on this high of owning my first comic book original art. And again, I unboxed it last night. We kind of talked about it in depth last night on the stream. Hopefully you guys have a chance to go check out the video. It's on my channel. And yeah, I mean, I'm still like, it's like I positioned it right in front of me so I could look at it, and just want to show it off again. It's page 15 of The World of Smallville. And again, if you guys just go check out the video, you can kind of hear the reasons why I got this piece. And I guess we'll kind of talk more about this piece maybe later in the session. But this this session of OTG is going to be dedicated to an unboxing. And I want to just get things ready here. We have two things we're going to unbox. And before we actually unbox them, because I don't know which is what. I think, okay, this is the Jim Lee book. I think this is the Neil Adams book. So I got two books to unbox, and they're both signed books. They're signature books. One book is signed by Jim Lee, and another book is signed by Neil Adams. So I think we will unbox the Jim Lee one first. And before I unbox the Jim Lee one, I just kind of want to go over some of the Jim Lee books. I guess signed Jim Lee books, because this book technically is going to join my Jim Lee signed book collection. And really, I don't have a good count on what my Jim Lee signed book collection is, but I will kind of show you like some of the signed books that are kind of special to me in the collection. Actually, I have a lot more, but I only pulled out a couple to show you. This is a Dynamic Forces signature copy of Batman 608. You can see the signature right there. Only, so Jim Lee signed this book at the release of this comic book. So it's one of those signatures that it was done to promote the book when it launched. Now, Jim Lee could sign a book 5 years after a book comes out, or a year after a book comes out. But to get a signature right when it comes out is kind of special. And that's what's nice about these Dynamic Forces ones. They're always kind of like, they're structured in a way where the artist, the writer sometimes are doing signings to promote the book and sales of the book. And that's exactly what we have here. 3,000 copies were signed. Again, this is dated 2002, right around the release. One of a specially limited series of 3,000 copies signed by Jim Lee. So that's, this is one we recently picked up for $10 over in Rochester, New York, when I was out there. Really special edition. Just because it's like such a great book. And so that is just one of sort of the key signed Jim Lee books I have in my collection. The other one is 90 Signatures of the X-Men. And basically I have all the connecting covers here in his 90s signature. We got it right there, Jim Lee. This is all 4 creators: Bob Harris, Chris Claremont, Scott Williams, and Jim Lee. That's cover A. Cover B, we have Jim Lee and Stan Lee. 90 signature of Jim. Cover C, we got just Jim Lee. And cover D, we also have Jim Lee in the 90 signature right there on the belt. And last but not least, we have the cover E, the gatefold with Jim Lee's signature right there in the 90 signature. Kind of a 90s. Yeah, that's 90s. It's like transitioning toward modern, but still keeps the essence of the 90s. Just to give you sort of context. It really is a 90s signature if it's 2 separate, like Jim and Lee are separated. And that's what you have in this one. Clean break from Jim and Lee, as you can see right there. Just a clean break. So yeah, that's the kind of, I guess I could show off this as well. This is a cool Wildcats card in the 90s signature. That's pretty cool. And of course, this one is really special. It's this commemorative pin. This was to kind of commemorate the this book becoming the all-time best-selling comic book of all time, which to this day it still remains the record breaker, or I should say the record holder. And this is just this great pin. I think only 2,500 of these were produced. So this is a really special piece in the collection. This also came with a signed kind of COA, which I have in a different location. So that is kind of just like a flex of the Jim Lee signature books I have in my collection. And just gonna put these books to the side for now as we open the book that we got. So we're gonna get to the book now. I got 2 books, signed books, for essentially $102.25. So that's with shipping, tax, and everything. At the end of the day, I paid $102 for 2 books. The Jim Lee book is the cheaper of the 2. I paid $32.75 for this book. No, sorry. $32.50 for this book. Paid $32.50 for this book. And right off the bat, I'm not liking the packaging. The packaging, I feel a little bend in the book. It looks like it was mailed in an envelope and then wrapped in plastic. I don't know why people continue to do that, but I guess, when you're getting a Jim Lee signature book for $32 shipped, that's the risk you run. It's a trade-off. Like, wow, I'm getting a really great price on a signed book, but this person doesn't know comic books, obviously, or doesn't sell comic books for a living. It's probably something that maybe they picked up at a Comic-Con or something. I don't know what the history of this book is, but again, the packaging it's crappy. There's just no other way to sugarcoat it. Yeah, crappy packaging essentially. Is like a USPS envelope with a piece of cardboard to reinforce that it doesn't bend. And that's how, and then they wrapped it in like a shopping bag. Absolutely. So I'm not seeing any bends on the envelope. And the bend that I felt was kind of in the cardboard, which is fine. So I don't think the book actually bent. I hope they at least they didn't even put it in a bag, or they put it in a bag. All right, let me be very extra careful with this here. All right, so yeah, the conditions good. I would, so they had the grade at near mint, or not a near mint. They said near mint minus, and I would not disagree with their assessment. Everything looks really good. I love the signature placement and the look. It is so 90s, such a good 90s. In fact, let me, before I show this book off, let me get my other book here. Where would that be? That'd be in here. Just bear with me just for a second as we kind of show off the sister copy to this. Going through my slobs right now. Here we go. This is the book. All right. So when I got back into collecting, I took part in a signing, Jim Lee signing. We came to Emerald City Comic Con, and I wanted to get books signed by him and meet him. And it was a great event. I got 3 books signed, 2 of which is the mirror Superman Batman cover. So Superman 204 and Batman 608 second print. Those were signed and sketched by Jim. And then the 3rd book I got signed was Uncanny X-Men 248, his first work on X-Men. Cover, interior art, significant book. If you're a Jim Lee collector, this is just, you got to go after this book. But one thing that always bugged me after I got this book signed was, first off, I didn't get the 9.8, which is kind of what I was hoping for. The other thing was we got a direct edition rather than a newsstand. And then of course, the modern signature. That's something I could have requested a 90 signature, but it's weird. I doubt his muscle memory even remembers his 90 signature. So I didn't want to put him in a position of where the signature came out funky. So I just went with the modern. But all these kinds of little things were at the end of the day, I still love this piece and I'll keep it forever. But it just felt like, did I really need to get this book signed in this manner? It just didn't feel as didn't feel as good as my other signature books. But ultimately, where I landed was no, this is a book you want signed in a collection, because it's the first X-Men. Come on, it's a legacy book. It's one of his Unmyong works. His work here led to more work on the X-Men, which led to the books I just showed off, right? The best-selling comic book of all time. So yeah, ultimately, I'm glad I got it signed, and I have, other copies of this book. I have the second print. But one thing that always eluded me was the second print, or sorry, not the second print, the newsstand copy. And I just always thought, we didn't have to rush and go out and get the newsstand. It would eventually make its way into my collection at some point, but we did want to pick up the newsstand because that's kind of like what we've been trying to do. We've been trying to pick up as many kind of newsstand copies of comic books, especially key comic books, in my collection. Try to have the newsstand if it's something worth having in the collection. And that's yeah, it's kind of like we wanted a newsstand copy of 248, and I am just going to continue to fail at this, so I'll do this later. Um, and that is what we picked up. We picked up a newsstand copy of X-Men 248. Again, the high grade copy. Put it at a near mint minus. There's just a couple of spine ticks there you can see. Everything else is pretty good. But the cool thing is, it's not only a newsstand copy, we've got the 90 signature Jim Lee right there. So yeah, when I saw this come up, I was like, I already have a copy of 248. But like if I could replace that experience of the slab book with the result I wanted, it would have been this book, right? It would have been like I would have taken a newsstand copy to Jim, and he would have signed it in the 90 signature anywhere, here or anywhere. But this, I love this placement and the look there just pops. And we would have this. But so now I have both. So I have two copies, signed copies of Jim's first X-Men. And that's cool because it just adds to my sort of X-Men Jim Lee collection. And I am going to eventually move this to a better bag and board, but the show must go on. We're not going to pause to do that. I'll do that off camera and spare you all the misery of having to sit through me fumble through stuff. So there we go. I'm just going to put that book down here, and we're going to keep going. All right. The next book we're going to unbox is a Neil Adams signed book. And, when we got into collecting, Neil Adams passing, it, first of all, it brought focus onto his work. I was always aware of Neil Adams' work, but I never thought to focus collecting his books. And then he passed, and I picked up a few books, and it just got to be like, you know what? I really love his work. It was a kind of a opportunity to get older books, like an entry point into getting older books, older Superman books, older DC books. And then I started picking up like Neil Adams signatures and like key books and all this. And now it's kind of like, yeah, I've just amassed a lot of Neil Adams books over the years. This is one gifted to me by silver-haired Bronze Age babe. It's a facsimile copy, but it's a beautiful facsimile copy. And we got Neil Adams signature right there. This would be the first of many books we would pick up. The other thing I kind of focused on is just picking up like first issues. For example, this is, to me, really significant. This is his first book on Action Comics, his first Superman book. And it's a really high grade copy, which we got. So that was really special. We also got his first work on Batman. This is his first work. He did inks for Carmine Infantino on the cover and the interiors. This book is actually trending on the what is it? The trending 20 right now, or no, the trending, what's it called? The top 10. Um, what's it called? Runner ups. It's on the runner up list. But love the signature on this one too. It's just bold and bam, Neil Adams. But that is his first work on Batman, which is significant. And then this is his first work on the Batman, the title, the actual title of Batman, 200th issue. First Batman uh, work on the Batman title. This is cover, beautiful cover. We've also got first Lois Lane. This is his first work on Lois Lane, kind of right around the same time as his first book on Superman Action Comics. So technically, like probably first Superman cover tied with that Action Comics book I showed you. And his first work on Superboy. It's this book. And this one I just recently unboxed and showed off. I picked this up. So low grade copy, covers detached, but it presents pretty well. That's Dead Man. We picked up his first work on Dead Man. And this is just this great fan award winning cover here with all the creators. He's sketched all the creators. And then he did a modern homage with the Deathstroke book. And you see Jim Lee right there in the center there. Hope you can see him. That's him right there. That's a special book right there. You know, it's just like Neil took the time to draw Jim, and now they're just forever linked on this book, which is just like really cool. I just think that's cool. And there's a bunch of artists on here that are linked as well. I gotta look up who this artist is because I think that might be Kurt Schaffenberger here, right there. That looks to be maybe. I hope Brian Boland is on here somewhere, but I see Alex Ross up in the top portion of the book right there with the glasses. I think that's all that Alex Ross. But yeah, I'm gonna have to look up all these artists and see. I haven't taken time to do that, and on this book as well. But this was a really cool pickup. So yeah, you know, given these are just some of my Neil Adams books that represent firsts and some of my signature books. And then now we're going to unbox this one. This one is another signature book. And this one we paid a little bit more. So I paid $32.50 for that Jim Lee book. This one we put in an offer for $55. They accepted $55 for a signature book. Yeah, it's actually two signatures on this book. We'll get to the second signature in a minute. So two signatures, $55. But the guy had, you know, $9. He added $9 for shipping, and then plus tax. So it ended up being like what is it, 62.75, 62.75 when all was said and done. No, what was it? It's more than that. 69.75. Yeah, 69.75 when all was said and done. You know, close to a $70 book. But I still think even at $70, this is hands down a steal. A steal for what it is. And I hope you guys agree with me that it was a steal. It's a steal. I mean, there's just no debating it. This was put in a bubble mailer, and it was put. in a card. It's in a bag and board, but it was put against a thick, at least a thick piece of cardboard. That's not so bad. Um, oh, and yeah, this holder is a little bit more secure too. All right, so what we got here is about a fine copy. It's probably a borderline VF fine copy um, of a signed book by Neil, also a significant book. And man, is this a nice piece? Wow, 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 wow. It's, oh man, yeah. Uh, it's a nice piece. Okay, what we have here is my second copy of Superboy 143. So Neil's first work on Superboy, a book I just showed you. I have the kind of low grade raw copy of that. Now we have sort of a mid to high grade. And again, I think it's a really nice copy. It's got a little bit of a corner, like a minor corner crease there, but the spine is really nice. We've got this signed by Neil. We also have it signed by Al Plastino, legendary Golden Age artist Al Plastino, legendary Superboy artist. If you don't know, like uh, I have my first Lana Lang right here behind me. He did the cover of that book, first Lana Lang. Yeah, uh, storied career on Superboy, um, as evidenced in this book. So he does the interior work on this story. And this is just a very cute Lana Superboy story. Um, it's really cute. It's you know Lana makes her way into this like Egyptian like archaeological Egyptian pyramid site and gets disturbed some kind of like relic there. And Superman sees this and sees that she's in danger and comes, or Superboy, I should say, comes swooping in, and he ends up losing his powers, his um, invulnerability. Not all his powers. He has like his heat ray vision, X ray vision, all this stuff. It's just his strength and his invulnerability are transferred to Lana. Lana is now super strong and invulnerable, and they get into kind of these like uh, this gang is like targeting him, and he's kind of in this state of vulnerability, but he doesn't want to let on that he's invulnerable, or sorry, vulnerable. So he pretends like he's Superboy, but he gets like captured, and all these weird things happen. But ultimately, Lana comes in and kind of like saves the day, and then he gets his powers during this sort of period where Lana's there, and then he ends up saving all of them, gets his powers back and saves all of them, and that's that. So it's just a really cool, cute Superboy story. Um, Again, I think that's why I like Superboy. It's kind of primarily features Lana Lang in a lot of the stories, and Lana Lang plays sort of the same role Lois would play in like the Lois Lane stories, but these are just from his youth. It's like Superboy um, in middle school and high school, uh, a youth. And when John Byrne kind of reset uh, Superman in '86, The Man of Steel. We talked about this in the last issue, but there was a big post-crisis redefining of Superman, got overshadowed by Batman, but very significant um, contribution by John Byrne to kind of reimagine the modern timeline for Superman. and he erases all of this great Superboy stuff because he's like, Superman did not, reveal himself until as an adult. So all this like Superboy flying around just in the context of Smallville and that not getting outside of Smallville, or even if it did, it's like kind of like, why would he just patrol Smallville like a police officer? It's it just doesn't make sense, right? So it's kind of like, you know, re it's keeping the past in the past, but creating a new sort of platform for stories moving forward. So it was a big sort of event. Um, but yeah, um, that's what made this era of comic books so fun. It was just like silly, and it was like one of those things you just look to for the next month to month, for what are Lana and Superboy going to get into this month, and um, just that kind of serial, lighthearted serial nature of what comic books are, right? It's just this serial kind of updated, story on whatever's happening, kind of keeps up with the current, trends or news or themes or topics or ideas being, kind of discussed and um, analyzed um, in our society. And this was just a fun outlet for kids to. So great. Neil Adams' first work on Superboy. He would do a lot of work on this title, but this is his first. And we got the Al Plastino signature there, along with the Neil Adams signature. So it's a dual signed book. Um, on just a, I love it. I love it. Again, the grade's pretty decent. Everything about this book is really, really, really nice. And this person did actually a pretty good job packaging it, so there's no damage or anything to the book. Arrived here safely, so no harm, no foul. So we'll the Jim Lee book too. Like obviously these aren't ideal shipping methods, but as long as they get here without damage, no harm, no foul, right? Had they come damaged and been an issue, then it would have been disappointing. But yeah, there you go. So now I can kind of replace my low grade book. Not that this one is in terrible shape either. They're kind of actually very similar in condition. This one just has a little bit more of a corner issue than this one. But yeah, like the signed book definitely is better condition. This one, as you can see, the corner there. This one too has the corner there, but not as raggedy as this one. But both of them really spines are. This one though has I think some issues on the interior portion of the book and the back portion of the book. I think so. I'll have to check this one too. But I'm assuming this one's going to be better than this one. This one, I think the page quality is also a little brittle. It's brown. It's like browned. This one looks to be a little better in terms of discoloration. But yeah, two copies of Superboy. Neil's first work on Superboy. But the important aspect of this are the two signatures by these two legends. So like, we're only into January, and I've just picked up like it's like just it's been it's been good. The pickups have been good. I mean, we got this book, we got the Dead Man, we got the Superboy dual signed book, and now we also just picked up, um, original art from the world of Smallville. So I mean, I can't complain. The collection, I don't know, this one, yikes. Gonna have to tape that up. This one, this one, the bottom portion of this just cracked. It's like exposed. Not that big of a deal, but just tape it up or do something. Um, One thing I want to, in my long, exhaustive sort of diatribe on this piece of artwork, um, I neglected to mention a couple of things about this story, which I want to kind of talk about now. Um, I talked at length about why I like this piece, about the artists that contributed this piece. This is again, original page, John Byrne script, Kurt Schaffenberger pencils, and Alfredo Alcala inks, with lettering by Carrie Spiegel. And it's basically Jonathan and Martha Kent's origin story on how they rekindle their, well, not even rekindle, it's just like how they become romantically involved eventually and get married. And it's this is the meet cute, the scene where they kind of meet, they're reunited after a long sort of absence. Um, they were friends in their youth, kind of like, Lana, I guess, and Clark. But they reunite. Jonathan's returned from being a POW in the Pacific, POW uh, captured by the Japanese, and you know, um, he comes back from that really a changed person. Like his experiences in war, but his worldview had changed. He kind of saw the world differently now. And there's a really key moment in this book that, for me, was like great. I mean, it was like a it was nice to see. It was a great um, kind of acknowledgement of Superman's like past legacy. Um, as you know, during the Golden Age, when Superman books were coming out, uh, the U.S. was at war with Japan and Germany, and that was reflected in the narrative of the comic book. In fact, there are some really sort of iconic covers. I shouldn't say iconic. They're uh, controversial covers, but they're very highly valued, highly sought after as collectibles. But they're basically books that depict racist imaging of like the Japanese Emperor Hirohito, um, and of course Hitler as well. But all throughout, the comic books, they refer to the Japanese as Japs, a derogatory. It's basically a racial slur for Japanese people. And this was, prevalent throughout the Golden Age in those books. Um, Really prevalent in American society, right? Like Americans were uh, angry at the Japanese. They interned American citizens with Japanese ancestry and basically took away you know, um, their human rights and imprisoned them for no reason other than having Japanese ancestry. It was a real injustice, and but it was the time. It was a time of war. Not that it's justified, but it was just just prevalent, right? It was just prevalent across the board. Um, you could be a good person, but still harbor those anti-Japanese sentiments and really harbor sort of a hatred toward a culture you don't understand or know very well. Um, but that fueled a lot of the war effort, right? You had to feel like there was an enemy there, that your existence was threatened, and that helped galvanize the war effort. So um, this nationalist sentiment and this anti, Japanese sentiment was palpable. It existed in the history of DC comic books throughout this sort of golden period of Superman books, and it's something, obviously, what's fortunate is like Superman was not defined by those depictions or those references, but it's there, and people who go back and read those books, it's apparent, right? But that was again part of the history of this country. And what's beautiful about this World of Smallville book in the writing of John Byrne is John Byrne's very cognizant of that, right? He's cognizant of this history, this sort of shameful history in DC Comics. And what's nice is when Jonathan comes back from the war, he's having conversations with people in town, and the townspeople are going, "Man, those Japs, they probably did horrible things to you, and like, we're just so glad you're okay." And they use the word Japs, and Jonathan stops them and says, "Hey, you know, I know there's a lot of I know how you feel, but you know, the Japanese are people. We won the war. There's no need to refer to them as that term. They're Japanese." And he corrects the person and just kind of writes that derogatory term. And it's a great moment because it's like, here's this guy who was captured by the Japanese, but he doesn't harbor the hatred or the resentment, and he understands, like, um, this is a culture, this is a people, this is a nation, and to kind of um, slight them in that manner was not what we stood for as Americans, right? Um, and it was kind of, again, like it felt like it was an apology on the part of like DC Comics. Um, and that's another really, like key thing I love about the world of Smallville. Just those little things, right? It's like, yes, we acknowledge there was this sort of racist history that was propagated in the Superman books, but with just this little kind of sort of, scene here, where Jonathan is saying, like, look, yes, I'm a POW, I survived this, but let's let bygones be bygones. Let's not be so hateful. And those kinds of terms are offensive, and you know we don't condone that. I don't condone that. I don't like you using that kind of term to refer to them, even though they were our enemy and we fought against them. No need to harbor those kinds of and use those kinds of terms, right? Harbor those feelings and use those kinds of terms. And that was, again, um, a really, I think, key moment. Where obviously this was an 80s book, but I still think there are just maybe pockets of small towns here and there, um, that would well, that wouldn't have moved on, that would maybe harbor those kinds of views, and 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 I think that's what who John was really targeting, right? He was just targeting, like, look, you know, um, this was a period where that kind of sentiment and racism existed, but here in this period, like, Jonathan is making a clear distinction, like, that's not cool. We don't want to um, use terms like that. We don't want to refer to a culture in that manner and kind of stereotype everybody and do all the things that reduce you know people um, and stereotype people. So again, just a great moment for this piece of artwork and this yeah. I just feel like like um, adding this piece, and we're only in January, right? Like like adding this piece this year was really one of the key moments in my time back in comic books. Just over this really feels like a young piece. Like you know, like this is me now. This is my page, and again, I just love everything about this book. It's a great book. It's I mean, Smallville is you have um, places that have that are very significant in comic books. Like, for example, the first appearance of the Fortress of Solitude, or the first appearance of um, the like Arkham Asylum, or first reference to Arkham Asylum. This is Smallville's first standalone title, right? It's Smallville since has had a plethora of titles because of the television show. There's just all kinds of Smallville books now, and but this was the first Smallville book, but it set such a good tone for what Smallville books would be, right? It just kind of like it's focusing on like course sort of Rust Belt, or not even want to say the heartland uh, values, small town heartland values of America. Um, really, we've kind of moved on from this as a nation, right? But this is really sort of like still a core identity in a lot of places in the U.S. You know, uh, and I think Smallville still speaks to the Smallvilles of the U.S. Right? There's a lot of Smallvilles here. Um, I never really grew up in a Smallville. Um, I've always been out here in the West Coast, but I did go to school, in the Midwest, and I did see what life in the Midwest is like. Um, it's nice, people are nice, and there's just the sense like, yeah, there was a time in America where these places were thriving, right? The economies were good, people had jobs, and it was just, like the small town was healthy and thriving, and people really build communities and lives, and there's a lot of good memories around like towns and life in a small town. So yeah, I mean, for me, again, having an edition like this is really nice. I'm just going to put it back up here. There we go. Sorry for making you stare at my ass. Um, but yeah, thank you for joining me for this unboxing. And we added two more books to the collection, both significant books, signed books. We got Jim Lee and Neil Adams, the two gentlemen Um, we're at the center of what I collect. So just to pick up two more signed books, significant sort of key books by both artists, is great. So yeah, again, thanks for joining me on a Monday. It's pretty crickets out there. I'm sure some of you will catch it on the rewind, but just was a quick unboxing video, chance to kind of show off some of my Jim Lee and Neil Adams books, and talk more about my original art. And so, hope you enjoyed it. Please check out my last video on the original art. I go into kind of more in depth on who the creators were and why I chose to get that piece. It was really sort of just the best available option to me when I was going and looking for original art on eBay because I had money. I was like, dude, I have money. If I'm going to get original art, which I wanted, this is the best time to do it before I spend my money on other stuff and then don't have money to buy original art. And fortunately, I ran into that piece. We put in a bid, they accepted, and I got that piece for a really, really incredible price when I think about it in hindsight. And yeah, now it's mine. So yeah, this is it's been a great year so far, and we're only what, a couple weeks into January. So I just feel like I gotta kind of maybe kind of take a step back, slow down. We spent a lot. I spent $250 this past week with these arrivals. So I just feel like, yeah, it's I don't have it. I think I have one book maybe coming that's left. It's there's been issues with this book because I like not sure it's coming. I wanted to cancel it, but I don't think they're gonna let me cancel it. So I might end up getting here, but we'll see. So if that's the case, I do have one more book coming, but it's going to be kind of crickets for a while. And I'm not going to try to head to the comic book shop or do a comic book haul video until probably February. Um, yeah, we'll probably target February for our next haul video. So in the meantime, it's just going to be, who knows? I don't know. Just be Saturdays with Jeff, Double Tiger, um, and you know, maybe I'll go on with Naman Young. We haven't done a live stream. I mean, we recently did a live stream with him, me, and Jeff, and other members of the community. But I was thinking I haven't gone on with him, just the two of us, and I just like to do that, like get back in the swing of that. But I know we've been limited because there's in terms of the StreamYard account, I think we are not doing that anymore. So we'll figure something out. There's going to be a way for us to maybe hop on together. But yeah, it's going to be pretty quiet on this channel for a while, maybe. Um, and oh, that's another thing. Please visit the link down in the description here. There's a link to the comic books I have available for trade or sale. It's a Google Sheets, and it has kind of like what I think the grades are of the books, the key significance of the books, and kind of like the price I'm looking for in terms of trade value. So, obviously we can negotiate. For me, it's like I would like to just trade away all that's on that list for maybe just a couple of key books that I'm looking to add. Um, so I'm very like open to it. Obviously, I'm not gonna like trade all those books away for like a $5 book or something like that. I do want kind of an equivalent value. Um, but the important thing is like if you see something on there that you like, and you send me an offer, I'm more than likely to accept if it's a book I want in return. So, what do I want in return? Obviously, Neil Adams books, Silver Age Superman books, anything Silver Age, Bronze Age, um, in any condition, as long as it is a complete book. And Jim Lee books, Neil Adams books, John Byrne books, Brian Boland books. Uh, you know, it's kind of what I'm looking for. That's it. I mean, that's it right there. I don't need any. Maybe She-Hulk if you have She-Hulk and you don't want to have She-Hulk in your collection. I'm talking about Volume Two She-Hulk, not well. I guess Volume One She-Hulk would work too, but I'm talking about John Byrne She-Hulk books in particular. If you have that, wouldn't mind adding more of those. What else? Um, yeah, I just want to really focus on the artist pickups. So if you got, again, Brian Boland books I don't have, or Jim Lee books I don't have, or Neil Adams books I don't have, or John Byrne books I don't have. John Byrne Fantastic Four is a great uh, trade offer, right? I've done a couple trades now where I've gotten John Byrne books, Fantastic Four run books, and you know, I have a lot of Spider-Man books. So if you are into Spider-Man, we can do a Superman for Spider-Man trade. I'm down to do that. So just the important thing is take a look at the list. Let me know if there's anything you want, and let's start to initiate a dialogue and get a trade going. So okay, thanks for joining, otakus. Your tour guide's gonna take a little break until we have something to really, you know, live stream and talk about. But you can catch me this Saturday on Double Tiger with Jeff. Saturday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there. Tour guide out. Have a good one.